best of what video, very games have to offer. And I am very, very proud to have you here on this very journey with me. And with that, check a look. Check a look.
Man, that's like a dream I had. What?
Right? So it always amuses me when that happens.
Hello and welcome, everybody. How are we all doing today? I hope we are all well. Guys, this is the Valhalla's Most Wanted podcast. And you know I'm a good host because I don't even know how to host this channel on my own channel when I'm on Valhalla's Twitch. I was like trying to do it from my phone for like the longest time. But anyway, welcome on in. This is going to be a spoiler-filled podcast about Avengers Endgame. Yeah. And
Don't get me started on that movie.
my bad.
Deal.
And we're gonna have a quick run of the news, but first let's see here. Hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Platinum, and with me I have
Wolves. Gray wolves. None of us kept a straight face. Hi, I'm Gray Wolves Gaming. Welcome on in. And we have returning guests.
Yes.
That'd be me.
Yeah. Good job, Outlaw. Good notes.
And I am Jake, otherwise known as JGelvar.
Yes. Also, your name is not centered. Whoops.
That's
The only
okay.
person who has like a Twitch and Discord name, but everyone still just calls you by your name.
Yeah. Right.
That's usually how it goes.
It's too funny.
There's no like doubt. It's like, who's this Gelvar? It's like, hey, Jake.
Hey, Jay. I know.
Pretty much.
But hey, you know, if it ain't broke. All right. So, let's get to know you guys really quick. So, Outlaw, obviously you've been here several times. You are an admin of Valhalla's Most Wanted, so thank you so much for being here. Welcome back. And
Always, thank you.
Would you rather have your own Iron Man suit or be able to lift and use Mjolnir?
100% Iron Man, because I've always wanted to be able to fly without being in a plane.
That's a very...
I mean, you can do that with Hammer,
Yeah,
but
you could
there's
swing it.
more. There's more you can do with you know. We gotta spin it. I mean, who wants to spin a hammer
I know.
all the time?
That's it.
I just
Like
wanna
energy
hold my hands out and fly.
Well-
like
Question.
answer.
Which version of Mjolnir are we talking about? The version where when you wield it, you become Thor? So you have the powers and abilities of Thor? Or just the hammer? Because in the Marvel Universe, it's just a hammer.
Just the
So like, I'm afraid I'd like dislocate a shoulder or like...
The first time you do it, you just
If I can hold out and have it automatically braid my beard, that might be, you know, that might be.
You do get. I mean, that's in the movie. That's not.
I think you have to otherwise look like the Big Lebowski, though. Like, I think you can pull it off.
Who's that? Jake, welcome on.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being our first non-VMW streamer on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
In the making.
Woohoo.
Would you rather be locked in a cage with an angry Hulk for an hour, or handcuffed to Red Skull for life?
It depends. Do I have like Black Widow? The sun's getting real low powers.
I'm assuming not. That would kind of.
That's probably a safe assumption. I'm not as attractive as her.
It's true. Only she's been able to do it.
Honestly, probably still like an angry Hulk, just because Red Skull doesn't really strike me as that fun of a dude to hang around.
Right.
So he's like, he's a Nazi. Like,
I think it's moot. I think you're dead in 30 seconds regardless, because it's, quote, the rest of your life, and Red Skull is going to be like, this is dumb.
that's true.
Just end it.
Granted, I guess there might be a chance I could convince the Red Skull just to break the handcuffs and.
No,
Free,
because the rule
but-
is the rest of your life.
Okay.
Yeah, it's true. That's what it says.
So I'd probably take the Hulk either way, though. Because if I'm gonna die either way, the Hulk would probably kill me faster.
There's a chance an angry Hulk might not think you're worth it. Like, there's that small chance.
Yeah.
You're just like, hey, can we be friends? You're like,
Hey, I think the Hulk is the strongest there is.
Yeah, can I see Bruce Banner for a little while here? You know?
I like how you guys are trying to reason. I know I'm in the corner in the fetal position peeing my pants.
Oh, I know. Absolutely.
There's no like, Hulk, let's talk this out. There's just me crying.
I was absolutely going to say Red Skull and just be like, well, at least it's someone to talk to.
Well, I mean, you could be on Hulk's back and like the Yoda, like just training with him and
hang on for dear
I
life.
would love to see you try, Outlaw.
Hulk, piggyback ride?
And then we'll have you answer. We'll have you answer one. Are you ready?
All right. Yep.
Would you rather be a member of the Avengers or join Loki's army?
Avengers?
I was like, what?
Wait, that seems kind of like a loaded
But
question.
here's the thing: is Loki could
What army?
I would say, like, are we talking about
Brainwashed
Chitauri?
army he tried to make. I don't know.
Like, are we talking about the Chitauri or like the Mind Stone, like Scepter, like Hawkeye, like how we did Hawkeye and Selvig?
That's like the only army that I know of, so I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean,
You're
I
the
guess
one that
technically
got to see
Asgard's
them.
army for a while because he was like fake Odin for a bit.
It's so odd. Yeah, I don't know.
So as the being on the Avengers Wolves, what would your powers be? I mean, with not having anything, would you be like the water boy, or I mean, what do we?
Oh, totally. Water boy,
Tower boy.
IT guy, like just a pep talk
my
before you
superhero
leave,
name
man.
is-
Running through New
Benchwarmer,
York, dodging
thank you.
boulders. Hulk, I have your drink.
That's it, secretary.
Like running the McDonald's. What do you guys want? Like,
Yeah, shawarma, guys. Shawarma, anyone? Shawarma.
Yeah, I was gonna say like you get the shawarma for everybody.
I'll be the gopher. Like,
The
That means I still gotta-
shawarma expert.
like I'll be their bitch. It means I get to live and exist in the Avengers. Like,
Yeah,
That's true. Also, like you get a buddy enough, like with Iron Man, he's gonna make you something.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
he will have little Iron Man suits for your water bottles, so you can just fill them and send them.
Like, even if
Go, shoop.
even if I can't just use it full time, he would definitely make a shit hits the fan. Here's your protective suit thing. Like woo.
Oh man. All right. Well, there's our little icebreaker, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. There are more if we ever want to get back to it, because it's like I don't know what is next, so it
Yeah.
has to have me like pick something. It's not just a list. I'm like upset, so
Oh.
I want to read them all.
Okay.
So whenever there is a lull in the conversation, I'm just gonna. Would you rather?
Perfect.
Yes.
So Wolves, you had some new quick rundown
Yeah.
of
I just want to do a
stuff.
quick rundown of two big things in the news recently. First one I'm going to talk about is Borderlands 3 was announced, and they had gameplay trailer. Looks gorgeous. It's going to be larger than the games before. And for my personal opinion, if you like the other ones, it just seems like that, but better. That.
Like better.
Yeah.
There we go.
And then
I'm
the other
excited.
news is Sonic, which they had their trailer released, bombed horribly, huge internet backlash, and the internet complained enough that the director tweeted, "I hear you, we're going to make some changes." So they're probably going to get rid of those weird human teeth, those small beady eyes. So, the internet, we
this
did it.
Sonic looks awful.
We
like-
complained enough that they're going to change something, and as Outlaw pointed out, we're then going to complain that something has changed.
Yeah, so my big question about this is, so what if they change the style of the Sonic? Is that really the only complaint we had? Because my complaint was the casting, the writing, the overall, and they can't change all that.
Right.
True, but they can
I'm saying-
change something.
Yeah.
And Ben Schwartz is Sonic.
Also,
I don't know about that.
did not care about this movie, was not asking for this. So no amount of fixing is going to get me to the theater.
Yeah.
True.
So I've already come to the conclusion that I don't believe I'm going to see this in theaters till at least after reviews, if not waiting till DVD.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm seeing this the night it
Um,
comes out.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
Detective Pikachu is getting decent reviews.
Dude,
Oh,
yes.
100% going to see it.
Which is funny
I'm-
because the CGI does look similar. Like,
Yeah, it's like the hyper realistic look, furry look.
Yeah,
Right.
but they didn't go as much into Uncanny Valley. They still respected the weird source material and try to
Yeah.
embrace that.
Yeah.
So they still
Well,
made it
they're
look like
trying
an
to make it
animal rather than like a human animal.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
do you think it's because Sonic is more humanoid than the Pokemon creatures?
I think that's got something to do with it.
Possibly, but even Mr. Mime, for example, still just looks like creepy Mr. Mime. It doesn't
That's
look
what I
like
was
a
gonna
human
say.
being.
Like, don't these two look similar to Mr. Mime?
No. But again,
Sonic
Mr.
does?
Mime still keeps the essence of Mr. Mime in terms of like the aesthetic, the design, the size of eyes. Like it still
he
looks
matches
like
what he was in the cartoon. In
Like, they
Yeah.
still leaned
trading
into the
cards
cartoon.
comics.
Just
Yeah,
like
they
a
didn't-
realistic
This
cartoon.
looks nothing like the video game Sonic at all.
Right. Yeah. Even some video games don't look like Sonic. You're like, wait. Like the Sonic video game, I'm like, wait, that's not what Sonic looks like. Stop it.
Even like Sonic Boom Sonic looks better than this.
But yeah, so. Would
So,
you rather have Loki's backstory or Bruce's backstory?
Oh, that
Hmm.
I'd say Bruce.
I didn't realize Bruce is like just becoming a green monster. Is that his backstory? Am I missing?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
And, I mean, it goes further back than that.
Like abusive father,
Okay.
and sometimes like the Hulk is like a split personality of his that like
Right.
he's had for a long time, and the
Yeah.
gamma radiation like made it go
Released it.
crazy.
Yeah.
I'd still probably go Bruce even with taking that into account.
Yeah.
I assume if we're incorporating the backstory, we're not just saying we're becoming the person. So we still have the essence of like who we are.
Exactly.
So I'd probably rather go with Loki because I'm still a god that knows magic. I'm just not going to be as bitter about being adopted.
Right.
I'm just be like,
Yeah.
yay.
All
Yeah,
right.
you grow up in a palace.
I'll be
have
a
all
prince.
the perks of
Yeah,
said
like-
palace. You can get
I don't
live
need to
among
be
the
king.
gods.
I'm content
Yep.
not having that
Mhm.
responsibility.
Exactly.
So like personally, I would go with Loki since I would still, in essence, be who I am. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I feel like young Thor is the kind of person that would get on my nerves all day, every day, and I'd probably end up turning into like actual Loki.
But you have the foresight of knowing he's gonna get fat, so you're good.
Hey, I don't know about you,
and the
but
spoilers have
Do
begun.
you have something against fat people, Outlaw?
yeah,
One
well,
of them, I can say this.
Outlaw's the fattest.
I don't know. I feel like Fat Thor would also get on my nerves.
Thor, I'm happy.
Like,
There's gonna be more to that.
dude.
Stop.
Halloween, there's gonna be so many Fat Thors.
There
Oh yeah,
are.
I'm growing out the Thor already here. We're
Oh
going.
my god,
We're
no, there's
going
gonna be
for
so
it.
many big Lothorskis. Maybe. Maybe.
Lethargic Thors.
All right, guys. Here's
So
the
end game
snap.
time.
We are in endgame spoiler territory. Very exciting. So first of all, box office numbers. Avengers Endgame has grossed over just over $1 billion. Is that what we
Super,
I think
yesterday, 1.91 billion.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's almost at two.
And,
2
no,
billion.
it's almost at 2.2 billion.
Yeah, no,
Oh, is it? Okay.
it's broken
Yeah.
too.
Okay, so
Yes, it's
broken
it's
2
at
billion.
2.19 billion.
So it's doing okay.
Like, it's all right.
in
Just-
24 hours. That's
It's doing
It's
okay.
alright. It's had the biggest opening weekend of all time, which
By
is
a
very
long shot.
exciting.
Fun fact: the previous biggest opening weekend ever, Infinity War, and this
Right.
dwarfed that.
Right.
oh yeah.
I watched a video about it, and they discussed how the reason why this number was so much bigger, not only because of the hype and because Marvel has done a great job building the story and stuff like that, but also because the markets in other places are a lot better, like especially China. They
Oh yeah, this is
have a lot
done
more
enormously in
theaters.
China.
They are asking for American movies, and therefore opening day in China, and that's the other thing that this movie has against other movies, is that their opening weekend is in all markets on the same day. So they
Yes.
had all the income coming in versus, yeah, we opened in America, and then we opened in Australia, and then we opened in China. You know, like it all opened in the same day, and that was really important. And that's why the number not only got so big, but also like just dwarfed
So
everything.
fast.
So fat. So did
Yeah.
Infinity? I know Infinity War released in the same day in America as it did in Europe, but China had a delayed release, didn't
I
it?
believe it was
I
delayed.
believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know like originally it was supposed to be like Europe, then a week later North America, but they
Right.
decided to push North America's a week earlier.
Yeah.
Which,
And-
just for the fans' sake, I'm glad they did a single
Oh,
release of
yeah.
this because of
Yeah.
spoilers. Like,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I could not
absolutely.
imagine.
Hashtag Thanos still demands your silence.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, guys, we're talking about the spoilers before the ban lifts, so don't tell the Russo brothers, please.
Please.
I feel like one thing that annoys me about topics like this is I feel like a lot of times the focus becomes too much on how much a movie made. And I don't think you should really always judge a movie by the profits it's made. And I feel like a lot of times that happens.
This one's just fun to talk about because honestly, I could care less about box office charting.
Yeah,
but
like
this
there's
one's
a
so
lot
much
of
fun to
this
talk
is
about.
historical.
Yeah, there's a lot of
there's so
interesting
much to
things
talk
about it that you could bring up in topics in terms of price, but I feel like a lot of times people often correlate that to the quality or how good a movie is.
True.
And I feel like they shouldn't. Like, I'm sure, yeah, it's there sometimes, but I don't feel like that's the correct metric.
Yeah.
No, not by a long shot. Because there's a lot of movies that go in theaters that end up being sleeper hits later on because people are just like, I don't think that's for me, and I'll wait till it comes out on DVD, and then it's like, oh my god, I should have seen this in theaters.
So, like perfect
The most
example
recent
of
Judge
that.
Dredd.
No, the perfect example of that would actually be The Greatest Showman.
I
It
hate
opened
that
up
movie.
extremely poorly, but like as time went on, more and more people saw it. It was like bizarre.
I
Yeah.
still hate it.
I was not a fan.
I still haven't seen it, so
I've got mixed feelings about it, but I enjoyed the music. That's all that
I
really
liked
matters to
the
me.
one song that's on the radio.
Yeah, like I despise that movie. I don't
wow.
understand why people like
It wasn't a I don't like it. Now it's a despise.
I just
it's
don't.
getting worse further
just
through the podcast.
don't.
Like I just like it's nothing against any of the actors. Like I think they did their roles well, but the movie itself, I just no.
Yeah.
I think we've reached wolves can't even.
So,
But King
So
God.
white. I'm so white. I count 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I can't
Okay.
even Plat.
okay,
Can't
got it.
even.
I thought you said I'm so white that
We
I
always
count
knew you were
1,
odd
3,
wolf.
7, and I was just like, what does being white have to do with anything?
That's like the typical like white girl thing. Girl, I can't even.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I'm with you. Okay.
Plaid's secretly
that
not a white
That went
girl.
right over my head.
Confirmed.
That was too funny. Too clever.
I'm a very basic white girl.
So obviously that's a very, very big number, and the reason it's so big is because I believe Wolves, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, like 80% of people said that they were gonna see it again. Or I think actually
80
Outlaw said
Compared to how
No,
many
there's an
people were going to
80%
see Infinity
increase.
War again.
Yeah, it's an 80% increase, not a total number.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Regardless, people are seeing this again. Like
a lot.
Yeah.
a lot. Like a lot of people are seeing this movie again, and that's the reason why it's able to gross so much and maybe possibly most likely beat Avatar.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if ever you can have a really big opening weekend, but you need legs to get the whole time. So that begs the question: how many people here have seen it twice?
Me.
Only once.
We should get snapped
Twice.
because there's half.
Not a,
So just looked it up. 85% as of 4 days ago have repeat viewed.
Oh,
Of the
geez.
total number of people who've seen it?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
really.
That's
It
intense.
currently has 85% more more repeat
Yeah.
view than
Again,
Infinity War.
it's,
Sorry.
There you
it's
go.
increased. Like I knew it was.
Lord.
Although I will say, Platt, I love the confidence of Wolves. You'll correct me, and I'm like, oh god, it's pressure's on me. What if I don't know? I was like, oh, I knew this one.
Wolves is my fact checker. Oh my gosh, I can't even speak. So that's why I need Wolves.
Fastest Googler in the West.
But yeah, so there you go. Half of our people have seen it twice, which is good because obviously we're gonna talk all about it. And Wolves.
I'll
and I
probably
will be
see
like,
it
I'm
again
pretty
next
sure this is
weekend.
the spot.
Maybe at some point.
I know I do want to see it again. I want to see it in IMAX because we weren't able to see it in IMAX the first time.
Yeah, I saw it in IMAX Friday night.
And
I saw it in
really-
IMAX 3D because it was the only time slot available. It was like IMAX 3D was like 11 a.m. and then the next IMAX was like 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And I was like,
All right,
why? Just
As someone who lives in the middle of nowhere, what's the perk of going to see it in an IMAX?
It's
over
gorgeous.
four screen real
theater?
estate.
Okay.
Bigger screen, better sound, or
Like,
louder
it's-
sound.
Endgame was the second film to be filmed using entirely IMAX
Yeah.
cameras. So it's basically the difference between old school widescreen and old school regular TV. It's like, oh, you're missing technically part of what's being filmed.
Oh,
they
I
have-
didn't know that. I didn't know it was
Yeah.
filmed
Okay.
on IMAX camera.
Yeah, so
Oh,
if you
yeah.
watch
I
it,
didn't
if
know
you
that
watch a
either.
regular Endgame in a regular theater, you technically are missing some. No, granted, it's all
Like-
the outskirts. It's all extra stuff.
Right.
It's not.
Not important stuff, but stuff.
But yeah, so
Nonetheless.
there's more.
So
you missed
more.
cinematography
the
outlaw.
nose
Yes.
off on the side. Gotcha.
It's a movie that was essentially built to be seen in IMAX.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
And I don't go to IMAX for everything. I really just go for certain movies.
Dude, I so wish the Detective Pikachu was an IMAX, but it's not in most places.
I usually
I don't know
don't
that I
care
wanna see
too much
Pokemon
about
that big.
IMAX.
I do.
So, I will say, the second I got out, I immediately messaged Platt because it was the only person on top of my head I knew had seen it like recently. I was like, literal fucking tears, like twice.
Yes.
There's twice in that movie I teared up, and the first one. Now we're getting into spoilers, chat.
Do it.
The first one is the second Tony walks off the ship. His first words
Yes.
and just the voice. I couldn't
Yes.
save the
Oh.
boy.
Me too. That's why I cried, and
Oh
I went,
God!
I'm not gonna do well at all.
Immediately.
That was
Like, I
the
was like,
first
oh my
time of many times that I
Oh, yeah.
teared up and tears were rolling down my face.
like just being those being his first words, not like thank you or any kind of anything, just that look, and it, like looked Captain America right in the eyes, was like, I couldn't say it, like it was just.
And then I loved his response of he was like, we couldn't save him, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It was.
And then Tony, 30 seconds later, like flipping out on everyone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they're just so well acted.
It was great.
Yeah. It was so.
Obviously,
few
our
seconds
general
for us, but it went
impressions.
from nighttime to daytime.
Oh,
There was some time there.
30 seconds movie time.
Yeah.
It seemed like everyone enjoyed it overall.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Very much.
I am immensely impressed with the movie in terms of a closure of so many stories.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I was skeptical from like 2 years ago that they were going to be able to wrap everything up in a satisfying way.
And it was
Mhm.
so satisfying.
Like a great example I always reference is if anyone here has ever read the Dark Tower series by Stephen King.
I have not.
I've heard about
In the last
I heard they made a crappy movie out of it.
the movie's okay. It's just it's inspired by the books, not based on the books.
Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, in the last book, there's a little blurb in the middle of like the third to last paragraph from Stephen King to the reader. Like he breaks the story and talks about how as a writer and telling a story, it's always about the journey. It should never be about the conclusion, about the destination, because it's so hard to make a conclusion that people are going to be satisfied with.
Right.
And he actually encourages you as the reader to just close the book here. Like he has an ending, but he's like, it shouldn't be about the ending. And I wish I had closed the book there. Like
I
to
wish
me,
I
it
would
was.
listen.
But because he knew it, he knew people. Not everyone was going to be satisfied with the ending. Some people loved it. And I wish I'd listened to him. So as Endgame got closer and closer, I was afraid that was going to be this movie. I was afraid it was not going to have that conclusion, that ending.
Yeah.
And my friend and I, we chat all the time. Every now and then we're like, we can't believe how well it pulled it off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very
Just
much
like-
so.
I feel like the fact that it pulled it off at all versus how good it did at doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, going into it, I kind of assumed that it was gonna do a really good job closing the stories for the main three, because it started, it's Iron Man, Thor,
Cap.
oh god, Cap. Yes, thank you. So I figured it was gonna do a really good job closing that, because going into it, you knew two of them, their contracts were over. They were done after this movie. So I knew that they were going to be handled well, but how well it closed everyone else's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say out of all three of them, Chris Hemsworth is the only one that was like, yeah, I want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And that's mostly just because Taika Waititi turned Thor around.
Yeah.
It
was because of the most recent Thor that he loved the role again.
Yeah.
It's like, honestly, if Thor 3 didn't happen, Chris Hemsworth probably would have been like, kill me off, please.
Yeah.
But that was I love that movie so good. Just the opening scene was like, hold on, come back around. Wait.
Yeah.
There's a
It's
great.
like, all right, this is different Thor.
Yeah.
There's a great YouTube video about how Thor Ragnarok is a reboot of the Thor series.
It is.
It really is. It's so, which is good because that's what Ragnarok is supposed to be.
Which though, like, I feel like they somehow managed to like make it make sense, like too.
Mm-hmm.
That if like you read into like Thor's backstory, he lost everything, his father, his mother, his brother, like everything, and like that could be like, so why did his personality like all of a sudden just change? Well, you go through some crazy traumatic stuff like that.
Yeah.
Your brain's gonna work a little bit.
He may be 1,500 years old, but that was the biggest trauma in his life at that point. There's not much is going to top that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to comment real So I'm gonna jump around this movie like there's no.
I was
But,
gonna
like,
say,
yeah.
I was gonna talk
Are you
about
gonna
that.
jump around in the movie like they jumped around through time?
Jump around.
So-
around.
The ending of Endgame paints such a different picture for the next Spider-Man
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
because the trailers suddenly changed because it's no longer like a kid in school going on vacation.
No.
Like this is now a PTSD war veteran. Like
Right.
Yeah.
Although
like
I will say there's probably going to be one line of dialogue about how half their class has already graduated, and that's literally all they're going to do about.
And honestly, I'd be okay with that.
yeah, I think you're right. I think there might be a slightly more than one line, but I don't think it's going to be a major
It's
plot point.
not
But it
going to
still
be a major
changes
plot
the tone.
point. It's still
See,
going to be
I-
a high school student going on
Um,
vacation.
No, I think it's going to be a little different. And rewatching one of the trailers after Endgame, where he goes, "I don't want to take my suit."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't want to take it because he wants to vacation from being Spider-Man
Right.
after
Oh,
that.
I said
Yeah.
also it's Stark's suit.
Right.
Yeah.
Also,
He's
I did
dead,
read
guys.
somewhere that the next Spider-Man trailer that gets released is going to have Endgame spoilers in it. Because
I mean,
apparently the trailer
that's what
shipped
they
with like a
said.
short clip of the Russos being like, "Hey, spoilers for Endgame."
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So-
Okay.
That's what they said. The next trailer for
Yeah.
Spider-Man's gonna have Endgame spoilers, which I thought was very interesting. That they I love the Russo brothers and how they're just like, let's not spoil it. This is
Yeah.
when the ban lifts. Like, make sure you're
Yeah.
like labeling your spoilers. Like, they're
It's
so
like they
kind.
care so much about the fans.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
That's great.
It's really cool of them.
Quick side note: Tom Holland and the girl Jiraiya. No, what's her name? The girl who plays
And
in
Mary
Spider-Man.
Jane.
Yeah, what's her
Uh,
real name? It's like
I can't
Mm.
pronounce it.
Zendaya. It's something like that. Yeah, I apologize.
Zendaya. That's
Oh,
right.
Zendaya. Yeah.
Thank you. So those two were on lip sync battle. She did a great
Oh.
job. Tom Holland did a fantastic
Dude,
job,
Tom
and I
Holland's
just posted a
greatest.
YouTube link in chat.
I was gonna say,
Guys,
is that when he like
Is that the
dresses
Wrecking
in
Ball
drag?
one?
It Justice and Drag, not Wrecking Ball.
Oh, or yeah, there was one of them. Yeah.
So it's so good. Oh, it's so good.
So in chat was mentioned some other really, really poignant emotional moments, like when Tony said, "I am Iron Man."
Oh my god, it's so good. Apparently that almost didn't happen.
How
Really?
dare
Yeah, that
you?
wasn't like in the script. I think like the day of filming, someone, I don't know if it was Robert Downey Jr., someone was like, what if we, like originally he just like blank snapped. But
Yeah.
like that I am Iron Man to counter I am inevitable.
Right. Oh.
And then of
Oh,
course
and it-
a callback to the original. Well, it's
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
It's a callback
Yeah.
to that, and it's a counterpoint to I am inevitable. Yeah, well, I am
I'm
Iron Man.
Yeah.
Oh
no,
my
no,
gosh,
yeah,
I didn't see
love
that.
Oh yeah.
I'm an idiot. All right.
So,
That's awesome. That's really,
then-
really cool.
and then another emotional moment is obviously when Tony Stark dies. That was the second big teary moment.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
I was okay when he died. I knew that was kind of. I knew
I-
something was going to happen there leading
Yeah.
up to.
Oh,
where
yeah, I
was.
was
But it was
okay
more
with
of
it
it was also
too.
Spider-Man being right there, and like
I
that
know.
moment.
Spider-Man came
Yeah.
on and said something. I lost it. I both times. Like even on the second viewing, I couldn't. I just
Yeah.
couldn't.
And as
I think-
Stewie mentioned, when Pepper says like it's okay, you
It's
can
okay.
rest
We're gonna
now,"
be all right.
Yeah.
like you can rest now, like it just.
Oh.
And I was
So-
like, no.
That did it, but after the fact, someone pointed something out to me, and it made that scene even that much more impactful.
Oh no.
Is Pepper had said, "My greatest failing is never being able to get you to stop."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he didn't stop until
Right.
she gave him permission.
Right.
So she finally got him to stop.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
no,
like-
that was.
I liked
Oh,
that line
man.
too, actually, because I thought that kind of really beautifully retconned why. Because there's so many Iron Man movies where he's like, "I'm done," and then he kept making suits. So
Yeah.
I really liked that line of hers of being like, "I've never been able to get you to stop," and how that
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, that's why he kept doing it." Like,
Yeah.
he
He
couldn't stop
kept doing it
himself.
all for her,
Yeah.
and his daughter now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course, I'll do everything I can to save them, but I must keep my present. Like,
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
oh,
I thought that was
like-
so interesting because, like, during the movie, I was like, people have moved on. Like, not moved on, but they've created lives. Like, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
what are you gonna do now? And so I really liked that there was that inner turmoil of like, because
Yeah.
5 years is a long time.
Yes.
Like-
Yeah, that's a huge span of time.
It was so funny because in this podcast I was listening to, they were like, people probably like got remarried. It's enough time where they like got into like another relationship or like started a new family, and then their family comes back, and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I do hope that they explore that, like the future movies. Like 5 years is a long time to live your life and to do other things. And now everything from those 5 years are now back.
Yeah, I thought
Those
that
are
was really
wild.
interesting.
So one thing I always love in a lot of media is how they always skip across the dead space. And what I mean by that is like a characters will be having an argument, then they'll drive somewhere and they get out and the argument just resumes. It's like, did you just drive 20 minutes in silence? Like, a lot of TV shows and movies just cut across that.
Oh, absolutely.
So an example of that in my brain is Hawkeye. So he has that 5 years and he goes full like assassin to any evil organization.
Ronin.
But so at the same time though, he's also got that now like punk haircut. He got a nice full arm tattoo. So it's just like when did you do these things? Like when were you just like sitting around and like in the midst of murdering the Yakuza? You're like, I'm gonna change my hairstyle. like in movies and shows, you see a developed character later. But I'm always like, when did they make that decision? When was Hawkeye sitting around going, I need a new haircut, and like flipping through like a magazine?
I want to be edgy.
I always assumed he was practicing with the sword, and that's where the haircut came in.
Oh.
So
I honestly picture him doing it to himself, like saying this, like I gotta like create like a whole new identity for myself. I can't be that family man anymore.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I doubt he actually cut it himself.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Like, I mean, obviously we're not gonna know. It doesn't really matter.
Have you ever tried to use
But
buzzers and like even out the back of your head? You can't do it.
I mean,
You
he's
need
also a
someone
superhero.
No, he's not. He's just a dude.
He's got like superhuman level of like accuracy.
Yeah, he's probably got a metal sheet in front of him, and he's just shooting the arrows, ricocheting to cut his hair.
I mean,
He's got that kind of aim.
Oh my god. That's so stupid, but accurate. Like I would totally believe that.
right. I'm saying, like, okay, he doesn't have overt powers, but he's got super accuracy for all intents and purposes.
Now, when they first got there, who did you think was going to sacrifice themselves?
Dude,
Did you think it was going to be Black Widow from the beginning? Did you think it was going to be Hawkeye? Like,
what pisses me off so much is I feel like in every other Avengers movie, they set up Hawkeye to die, but then don't kill him.
I know, I love it.
Like,
Every time.
in Age of Ultron, they introduced his family, and like the whole thing, like with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, that they didn't kill him.
Right.
In this movie, him going crazy over his family and saying like the crazy bad things I've done, I'm a monster, I deserve to die, blah 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 blah. They don't kill him. I mean, I'm happy that they don't kill him because I love Hawkeye, but
Yeah.
I feel like they keep setting the expectation.
it keeps the world grounded though.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is why I make point to say he's just some dude. Like that. I don't think you should escalate him up. I think it's important to keep him down because he's just some guy with a family with the kids who's roped into things that are just so much bigger.
So I feel like ever since Age of Ultron, he's sort of been like the real person's like viewpoint into the Avengers.
Yeah,
because he's the only one that doesn't really have the crazy dark past like Scarlet Witch or Black Widow does.
Yeah, but Black Widow also has some of the serum in her, some of the super soldier serum. Part of her backstory was them trying to like make lesser versions of that and create super soldiers.
I don't know if that's true in the MCU.
I don't know about the MCU.
Yeah, I don't think it's in the MCU.
We'll probably find out about that in the Black Widow movie / series. I can't remember which it is. It comes out, but I think
leading into that, so I knew about the Black Widow movie before Endgame, so I made the complete assumption he was gonna die.
Based off of that,
he was gonna have a movie.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that flip. I mean, it definitely caught me way off guard.
Yeah.
I know that pissed a lot of people off though, because like a lot of people are saying, well, "What's the point of a prequel Black Widow movie if we know what's gonna happen down the road?"
I hope it's not.
Well, why did we make Star Wars prequels? Why did we make any prequels? What kind of fucking argument was that?
I don't know. That's what people on the internet are saying.
I hope it's not a prequel, and the movie is Black Widow and Gamora breaking out of the spirit realm.
Time heist.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want them dead because I like.
Kill them dead.
To be meaningful. I don't want it to be like, they're back.
Yeah, like if they're back. That's why. So that's one of the things I loved about this movie is that Gamora legit died. That is still a sacrifice. yeah, we have
Yes.
Gamora back, but that's not our Gamora. And
Yeah, it's a
I
different
still
Gamora.
feel the loss of her, and I still, every time I watch Infinity War now, I'm gonna be devastated that like we never did get her back. Like
Right.
that's legit.
It's like,
and
they
that
did
moment-
Gamora's resurrection really well because it is a totally different character.
Yeah.
It's pre-Guardians.
But that moment when Hulk, when he's like, "I really tried,"
Yes.
I
Oh,
tried,
yeah.
like when I really tried. Oof.
Yeah. I want to be like, what does that mean? Are you communicating?
I
with the
want
What do you mean
to
you
see
tried?
the point of view from them. Like during the snap, what happens? Like,
Mhm.
how do you control the snap and what it does? Like, you think really hard and that's it, or like he tried. What was he trying?
Yeah,
what was he
that's
doing?
what I was
I would
thinking.
say most of the theories I've read, people have been assuming that like the stone like looks into your heart, looks into your mind, looks into your soul, if you will, and is like, okay, this is what they actually want. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But certain things that they literally just can't do.
So in the middle of this big battle, you're tired, you're weathered. You snap your fingers and a cheeseburger appears because that's what you really want at the moment. I mean,
Oh,
That's what I was
but
thinking.
it
I was
might
like,
be-
I'd be afraid that like my inner terrible,
see-
selfish stuff would happen, and I'd be like, I'm so sorry, I did not.
like I
mean
snapped
this.
my fingers and that
But you
Sonic
guys are
appears with the
you guys
weird
are thinking
teeth.
of like D&D classic Wish, where you make a wish and you have to be extra careful about how it's worded
Right.
because it's gonna try to screw you. Where I don't think the Infinity Stones that. I think they are. I think it's a sincere process. It looks into
Yes.
what you want and like what you're aiming for, and it'll do that. Even
Like
if
it's
your
not
mind
going to say,
wanders,
"Oh,
it'll
you're
let go.
hungry. We're going to give you food." It's going to say, "This is your actual heart's desire."
Yeah,
Like not like a genie would like try to twist whatever you say.
yeah.
But
I think
like-
I'm with Jake. I think there's too many things out there where it's always like, oh, I got to be careful what you wish for because it always tries to find the loophole.
Right.
I don't think the gauntlets are that. I think they are the sincere. What do
Right.
you-
Because like otherwise, I would snap and then I'd be surrounded by the Lady Avengers.
Yeah,
you know?
that's pretty much what was said in chat. That's funny. That's great. Which brings up, and it was talked about in chat, this all-female showcase that they did in the movie, which
Yep.
it was kind of funny. I kind of went through like this whole like range of emotions because at first when it was, you know, Captain Marvel has the gauntlet and he's like, how are you going to get through that? And then it's like I think there's like two other girls and they're like, she's not alone. And I was like, well, this is heavy-handed.
Yeah.
Like, immediately
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's dumb. But then it was funny because like almost the heavier the hand got, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah. So I
It
feel
was
like
so
I agree
funny.
with that. I feel like if it was only like 2 or 3 of them, I'd be like, all right, they're purposely putting all the women together like that.
exactly.
But because
like
it was
obviously
all
like,
over the
"We're
women, I'm
female."
like,
and I was
all
like, you
right.
didn't have to do that. Like you're
It's like,
already
I'm okay with
doing
it.
that. Yeah.
But I was kind of okay with it because you knew, okay, so they were trying to get the gauntlet to the van to send it back in time.
Right.
So we knew by the pan out of when she was riding the horse that the van was out in the distance. It was way
Right.
out there in the field.
Right.
So where all the women, you know, where they were standing, where they came together was basically where the battle was happening. So I could
Right.
see that
Yeah.
happening. It wasn't
Yeah.
like a huge stretch that they all crossed this battlefield just to be in the same spot at the same time.
No,
So that's
I
another
loved
super
it.
impressive thing that they managed to do. Is like that battle was absolutely freaking insane, but they made it in such a way that you could like actually track what was going on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Like-
there's a mistake during the battle.
Oh, really?
Uh-oh.
There's a point where you can see a giant Ant-Man in the back after you've seen small Ant-Man doing something. It was like, oh, the
Huh.
van, and then like there's like a big battle, and there's a giant Ant-Man over there. Like,
That's funny.
apparently, there's one moment where like a giant Ant-Man isn't where he's supposed to be.
That's
How
okay
dare
though.
they? But yeah, it was funny because like as the scene panned out and it was just more and more and more female
Right.
Avengers.
It was
I
all of
like,
them.
I was like, holy crap! Like you kind of like forget like how many female characters there are in here, and
Yeah.
So
like
the one thing
it was
that
just
did
so
bother me
cool.
about that though is the Wasp showed up, but she was supposed to be with Ant-Man, like getting the van running. So how did she get from where they were trying
she
to go
can fly.
to where they all were?
That's why Ant-Man was
That's
so
why
big
it
right there.
panned
He was just going to get across the map.
Maybe she just threw her.
I also like that they're like, yeah, we'll help Captain Marvel. I'm like, she doesn't need help.
No, yeah.
Right, it's like she just like stiff-armed her way straight through
So,
everything.
I really feel like the Marvel Cinematic Universe has a Captain Marvel problem.
Yeah,
I think
could.
they now have a Superman, and it's hard to make it interesting.
I think
Right.
they could. I don't think it's happened yet.
I think
Well,
it
yeah.
depends on how her next appearance goes.
Well, that's the
Agreed.
thing. That's what I mean. They have that problem going
Right.
forward. That's why they kept her very minimal in this.
Yeah.
Like her entrance was great and stuff like that, and then they immediately had her go with Thanos, and like they tried to make no, she's strong, but he's also strong, and that was a great thing to watch how strong she was, and then to give you an idea of how powerful Thanos is.
Yeah, because
like,
she
can't
was
have
even
that
with
many-
Thanos, so
Yeah.
She was actually I think Captain Marvel versus Thanos without the gauntlet. Captain Marvel wiped the floor with him.
well, no, because they were. I don't. Oh, well, I guess he had the gauntlet.
No,
So
because-
I don't know, but
Thanos, empowered by the gauntlet, was wailing on her until she started to absorb the energy of the gauntlet. Then she just like no-sold everything he tried to do to her, including that headbutt.
yeah, the
Yeah.
Like, he headbutted her, and she was just like, "Nope."
No.
And then it wasn't
just like, oh shit.
right. It wasn't until he actually like detached the Power Stone and punched her with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like actually used the specific stone itself.
Mm-hmm.
That he was
Which
able
I thought was really cool. That was a nice touch.
I thought that was so nifty because I liked that they used the gauntlet in a new way. Like,
Yeah.
where it was like, let me just take one, punch you, put it back in.
Well, which I find kind of interesting. So in Infinity War, he was able to use the gauntlet without snapping his fingers. He was able to do things and change things. But in Endgame, like he didn't use it at all like that. I mean, every time he wanted to do something, he was going for the snap.
Yeah.
Right. We'll say he also had to. I think they made it. I think they made it so he had to close his head to actually use the stones in the gauntlet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, if close your hand versus snap, I feel like there'd be a relatively same difficulty to achieve. So why not just snap?
Well, yeah, because he had his hand in the fist a couple times to hit. So I mean,
Yeah,
he's
but
already there.
I'd have to go back and watch Infinity War again. But I feel like almost all the times when that happened, he was never really straining or in a lot of trouble. The only
That's
time
also
he was
true.
straining in trouble was when he was fighting all of them and they were trying to get off, and he didn't really do anything then.
Plus,
when they
he
were
was
fighting on
an
the planet?
older Thanos, and so I think he had a lot of respect for the Avengers.
I would say he was an older Thanos, and he also had literally just killed Gamora.
Yeah. Like, if you notice,
killing your
like,
daughter
he never,
might affect you a little bit.
he never killed anyone unless they truly got in his way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he just pushed him aside because he was all about the 50%.
So let the
except for
stones
times
decide.
when he wasn't.
But
about
he had
50%.
already said that.
Unless your
I'm
name
gonna
is Loki.
enjoy this, and removing your planet, I'm going to enjoy this.
That's why I
Right.
think it takes more concentration and effort. It always seemed effortless in the other ones because he was never in real danger. He was never like mentally strained or panicked or like
Plus,
frustrated.
younger.
He was calm
Okay.
and like, oh, this ant is trying to mess with me. Problem solved. Where now he has big powers actually imposing their will upon him, and it's
Right.
harder for him to focus this menial things. Like he still needs to
Yeah,
take
it's
a
like
second to
this
snap.
is a Thanos that tried to kamikaze literally everyone because Scarlet Witch was literally about to kill him.
Plus, when you're using the gauntlet and you close your fist, I believe you can only use one stone at a time. Like, they're very individual.
Yeah.
Versus the snap is using all of them, so he would have to snap his fingers and use all of them to because he was just gonna wipe them out. He wasn't going to just
He's just gonna kill
That's
everything.
where he could use the reality stone like he did to
Right.
change the reality of that area to make it
Whatever,
easier,
right.
I guess.
Yeah.
But
Like I said,
on the other hand, that's a different Thanos.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he may
It's
not
a,
know.
it's a
that he
4-year
can do
younger
that yet.
Thanos.
Yeah, he hasn't had time with the stones. He literally
5
just
year.
got it on, and this is his first interaction with all of them.
Right.
Correct.
Like the other one had him for a little bit and like would slowly do things.
Yeah.
I say because when we first see Thanos in Infinity War, he already has the Power Stone.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
We have a question. Would you rather? No, sure. No, we have a question. Why does the Power Stone cancel out the rest? I'm not quite sure
Oh,
what
cancel.
you're talking about there, Grand Kai. So if you want to elaborate, I would love to know which.
I
part
have
you're
a
talking
general
about.
answer to a similar question.
If you
is
mean
that
when
they,
he takes out the thing, how he can't snap, it's because they all have to be in the gauntlet.
yeah, that's an answer. But they also say that like one Infinity Stone can cancel out the other Infinity Stones, meaning, or like one Infinity Stone beats another Infinity Stone in theory. So that's why Scarlet Witch is able to destroy the Mind Stone because her powers are derived from the stone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, agreed. That was really.
That's
cool.
also in theory why Captain Marvel is able to absorb the energy from the Infinity Gauntlet and all 6 stones. She's empowered by the Space Stone.
Right.
Correct. Yep.
The Tesseract.
Which, the Tesseract.
Yeah.
Granted, in the comics, she's not, and she just has like absorption, like
Right.
energy absorption
Yeah.
abilities.
Energy.
But either way,
Yeah.
In the movie, the logic is that in theory, one stone can beat the others.
That's in the comics, not the MCU.
Well, in the MCU, it's sort of been shown.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Scarlet Witch being able to destroy the Mind Stone and hold off Thanos.
Right.
But I mean, it's obviously it's not. Oh yeah, if you have one stone, you're totally fine against the others. But
right. I always was under the impression that, and of course this isn't like in the movies or anything, but because Scarlet Witch was made by the Mind Stone, that was truly the only stone she could destroy.
That could be true too.
Yeah.
The fight.
I also
between... Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Say I want to see a little bit more in the mind of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Because he knew everything that was happening.
Right.
And that moment that he held up the finger.
Mm-hmm.
So like that means he knew at any point if he had told Iron Man what the plan is, Iron Man probably always would have reacted too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he had to know that exact moment that he was going to sacrifice Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like Iron Man still
Right.
made the choices himself, but he knew the moment, like he had to give the hint so that Iron Man could make that decision.
Right.
So, like, I want to
He
know,
had to give that trigger to have it go.
which is why after he sees the future, like a lot of his interactions with Iron Man is much more respectful
Yes.
Yeah.
because now
Yeah,
he knows
rewatching
the
it,
sacrifice that Iron Man's gonna make.
So I feel like
And,
just
like-
anyone who is a sorcerer supreme, like they know some stuff.
Oh yeah.
But like just that, like just their interactions. Once like if you think about their interactions, once he sees the future and he knows the outcome of he's gonna give Iron Man the hint, and Iron Man's gonna sacrifice himself to save everyone.
Well, and he
Yeah.
even saves Iron Man in Infinity War. Like
Oh,
Thanos
yeah.
is gonna kill him, and then he's like, "Here, I'll save him," and then here's the stone. You know, like you're like, "Oh my gosh, he saved him to just die later," which is
Yeah.
like you're like a freaking god there.
Yeah, he's
Strange.
Yeah, so
playing
Tony
chess,
get to
like-
die at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
So
awful.
that's why I wanted to see a little bit. I would love to see a little bit more of like Doctor Strange, like a little bit of mental repercussions. I'd like in the next movie for him to like. I don't want the whole movie to be about it, but I want a
Yeah.
little bit of him like.
There will be one line of dialogue, and then the rest of the movie will be normal Doctor Strange.
Because like that goes back to like one of the problems with like the third Iron Man. I love it from an aspect of PTSD and watching someone struggle, but that was like the entirety of the movie,
Right.
Yeah.
and it was too much. So that's like from Doctor Strange, I want a little bit of that remorse, a little bit of that coping and dealing, but I don't want it to be the whole movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually
Makes sense.
Like rewatching Iron Man 3, I enjoyed it so much more because it was all about the PTSD. Actually,
Thing is, with Doctor Strange 2, I could see them going in the direction of like combining the idea of like, holy crap, I just like watched all of this happen, blah 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 blah. I got to deal with that with what is probably going to end up being the storyline of Doctor Strange, like
Yeah.
from the post-credit scenes of the first one with Mordo like saying too many sorcerers and killing everyone.
Mhm.
I could see Doctor Strange like having the theory of like, oh, we need more heroes, so this crazy crap doesn't happen again. Like we're more well protected in the future, and we don't have to sacrifice that one person for everything.
right?
So I could see the two storylines like working together with that.
Okay.
Now at the funeral scene.
Mm.
Now I know the answer. Do any of you know who that random kid was? Like when
Yeah,
he's
Yes.
going.
Harley or whatever.
Yeah.
Harley from Iron
Yeah.
Man 3.
It's,
Yep.
Like I didn't know that at the time. Like I found out later, and I was
That
like,
was my immediate thought actually.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, that kid looks familiar. Oh my god, it's Harley.
That haircut gave it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so like it's been 7 years, so he's not a little kid anymore.
Yeah,
He's
no,
a
like I
teenager.
saw him and I was like, I feel like I know who that is, but I didn't register at the time. I had to go home. I was like,
Right.
who was that? And I was like, oh shit, it's the kid from 3.
Which I thought was
Yeah.
so sweet. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
It
So
also,
you were right, Jake. He did come back for Endgame. You were like, I heard rumors he's coming back. I don't know how I feel about it because, like, obviously people thought he was gonna like don a suit. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But to me, that means that Tony kept in touch.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like
Agreed.
otherwise, like how would anyone know who that kid is? And
Yeah. To me, that means Tony kept in touch and was still a part of his life.
That's
Like,
so
He
at
aged,
that
he
point,
wasn't-
it was only the Avengers and like some other really important people at the funeral.
Yeah, and because he aged, he wasn't part of the snap. So like,
Yeah. Oh,
so it
that's
means
also
Tony
true.
probably
Oh,
probably
yeah, I
helped
didn't
him.
think about that.
Yeah, so it probably means like Tony kept in touch. He's probably like an uncle or a godfather to the kid. Like he
They're
probably.
connected.
So it just adds so much more to that Tony, like how much this kid helped Tony, that Tony like stayed a part of this kid's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Listen, my only question about quote unquote kids in Endgame was, did that kid who biked by Paul Rudd like towards the beginning?
Oh yeah.
Was that anything significant, or just like some moody kid who's like,
was just
it's
some
been
moody
five
I think
kid.
it's
Yeah, that
another insight into how non-superheroes are experiencing this world.
Right.
Because
Okay.
otherwise,
That's what I
the
figured,
only other
but
window is the support group, and so I
Yeah.
really liked all that actually.
right. So that's what I figured. But knowing Marvel,
Yeah.
Yeah, you figure that kid lost
He'll come
half
back
of
in
his
7
immediate
movies.
family.
yeah.
So, I mean, he was like, "What do you mean?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You know,
Yeah.
we all experience pain. Just leave me alone."
Yeah, I talked about this before, but I find the concept of grief and dealing with a death of a loved one as a global event as like a fascinating thing. Because
Yeah.
obviously in America, well, in other places, but because I live here, this is my history, right? Like 9/11 was hugely impactful and it affected the entire country. And essentially that's like what happened, but on the global scale. Like literally everyone was in grief. And it was funny because between Infinity War and now, I never thought of like the layman's, how are they dealing with the 50%?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I was always like,
Half of everyone
how we
know
gonna
is
fix
gone.
it? How we gonna
Yeah.
kill Thanos? Like I was all like, and I loved that the Russo brothers dived into this like just global.
So like, I really hope they focus more on like the post. I guess it was the third snap that occurred.
One line of dialogue.
It's like, oh yeah, they're doing okay.
They're like, yeah, they graduated 5 years ago. They're all right.
Yeah, because back to what you were saying, because even with 9/11, like even as nationally as that was, there's always going to be a smaller subset that was more impacted.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be people who lost someone directly and was like,
in
who the fuck
New
are you
York,
grieving? Yeah, like who the fuck are you grieving? Like where this is now everyone. There's going to be no one who wasn't directly affected.
Which
Oh
is
yeah,
like,
everyone had loss.
and so then so that's why I love that scene with Paul Rudd, because it's like asking these questions. It's like, what the?
Yeah,
why
where
are
have
you
been?
even asking that? Like that's too.
It can
too
just
soon.
like really.
yeah, like
I mean, you see someone on the street, you make the huge assumption that you are living, you know what happened.
Well,
Yeah.
no, but keep in mind the amount of people that probably like mentally snapped.
right.
There's probably still
Oh,
people
yeah.
who like every day are like, where's that? Like,
yeah.
so this could be another layer of the kid just thinks this is another crazy person who hasn't come to terms with what's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely. So I
Yeah.
loved that whole scene.
Yeah.
We did get clarification on Grant's question.
Yeah.
So the fight between Captain Marvel and young Thanos, Captain Marvel absorbs the power of the stones, which, by the way, I did not get that she was absorbing powers. I can't wait to rewatch it. Thanos punches, but nothing happens because he does the little headbutt. Is the Power Stone more powerful than Captain Marvel with the power of the rest of the stones? Like, why did the one stone do more than all of the stones in the gauntlet?
because the power, her absorbing the thing increased her personal power. Her entire essence and body was now stronger. Thanos isn't. As powerful as he is as a being, he still has an upper limit, and she can just increase hers. So his own head was not powered by a stone.
But then why is one Power Stone better than the gauntlet?
Because he was actually channeling the direct power of the Power Stone
Right.
itself.
Instead of overall.
Instead of just like exuding energy, because he wasn't actually. I don't think he was actually doing anything with the stones other than attempting to snap and then attempting to hit her with
He wasn't
his
like
face.
using
Yeah.
it. He was just using his physical strength essentially.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, he wasn't actively using the stone until he took off the Power Stone and punched her with a Power Stone enhanced punch.
It's kind of like if Platinum tried to attack someone with a sword, but that person is a trained like sword fighter, and then they're given a sword. Like they know how to use the essence of what they were just given, where Thanos doesn't per se.
Yeah.
Like if he knew the essence of the stones way better, he could use a different stone to probably counteract her. But she is that stone. She
That's
is
a really
that
good
power.
point, because now, like, watching it back, you can see how the Thanos in Infinity War fought so differently than the Thanos in this one. Not to say he's a bad fighter by any means, but you can tell he's so uneducated about the stones at this point because
Yeah.
in
he relied
Infinity
more on
War,
his physical weapon.
he was just like using each of the individual stones to his advantage. Like he fucking threw the moon. Like
If you
that's
throw a moon at
crazy.
me one more time, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, he was someone who has had the stones for a period of time and was learning to use them.
Yeah, like you
Where
can
in-
tell he
yeah.
did like a lot of research since like he sent Loki to get the thingy or whatever.
Yeah.
Where in Endgame, he was just a guy who had the gauntlet that has immense powers, but he doesn't know how to use it.
Yeah,
Like,
and like instead,
Yeah, he
like
hasn't had time training with it.
he has that double, edged sword that he's very good at using, and it was just like really
Yeah.
cool to see him in his element, like before the stones. Like it was really
That sword
cool.
kind of pissed me off. Not gonna lie.
Why?
I mean, no, like it was
Oh.
like super duper freaking cool, and like I loved it. But like the idea of it pissed me off because it broke Cap's shield, which is supposed to be impossible.
Oh, I
It's-
figured it.
keep in mind, Cap's shield gets made. So there are materials that can shape and wield vibranium, but vibranium is good against, like, bludgeoning.
Yeah.
Well, plus
Like-
I figured his sword had vibranium in it because we do know that vibranium can hurt vibranium.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
that's probably true, but I wish they would have like said something about it to say, "Oh yeah, that's a vibranium sword." or-
I mean,
The
well, we
magic
know that
sword,
because it
whatever.
broke.
Material.
Yeah, but, like, I don't always
There's gotta
want a
be more
movie to
out there.
tell me every little thing.
Hey, audience,
Uh,
do you think his sword is made out of vibranium? Go ahead,
Like-
I'll wait. It's like a Dora
Like
Explorer.
like a quick side thing, like one of my favorite examples of a movie just showing you a thing and not ever telling you is John Wick.
Yeah.
The coins that the criminal underworld
yeah.
uses, you are never once told anything about them. You're not told if they have a real world value, if they're traded in. You're given no details. You just see them used and are meant to infer this whole world.
Mhm.
And that's the thing here. You're not specifically told it's vibranium, but you see him do a thing. You see him, so you assume it is.
But
More powerful than you
again,
think.
I mean, vibranium is the strongest material on Earth. At this point, when vibranium was introduced, we didn't know about aliens.
Yeah.
We didn't know any of that.
I agree
So
with that.
there's
It's also not an
stronger
Earth material.
out there. That, you know. So
right.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what I thought
it's
too,
also
was
a-
that he just had an alien substance that was better than vibranium.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
vibranium
Fair.
is an alien substance. It's an asteroid that collapsed, and one small civilization knows how
Yeah.
to work with it, as opposed to the universe has been like.
Yeah.
yeah.
Fair.
So we do have to wrap this up because Wolves is all jazzy for a reason.
Unless you guys want to continue, and just leave the camera on an empty chair.
no.
But
We're
I got a
gonna-
wedding.
We're gonna quick
Hold
wrap
on.
this up. Yes or no? No explanation. Do you think Iron Man, in some sort of like maybe AI or some sort, will or maybe even another timeline, Iron Man will come back in the MCU? Yes or no?
Yes.
Outlaw, yes.
No, but they might use old footage to show past instances. But
Okay,
no,
so like
he won't be
pictures,
proper.
past footage, flashbacks.
Yes.
So
no,
like
no new stuff with
Tony's
Robert Downey
not
Jr.
coming back.
Yeah, no
No,
new thing.
Tony's not coming back.
no present Iron Man,
Is.
Well,
Okay.
or no present Tony Stark.
Okay. All right.
all right.
I don't want him to, but I think they will.
No. Yeah.
If
Robert
some-
Downey Jr. is done. I think Iron Man in a form will be back
Give him
Yeah,
as a
5 years.
different face.
But all right, I gotta go.
Yep.
Love you all. Bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a good one. We will be back in
Bye.
2 weeks.
Dose.
My button isn't working. It's so frustrating.